What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're just gonna take a look at some of the cars that I got in the past and see if I can get the $600 car that I bought recently up and running.
HYPERSPEEDMEDIA.
Let's take a look at this white one right here. Apparently it was cursed. The girl who bought it went through a lot of issue with it. It was just, people broke in the car, all kinds of crazy stuff that she went through. So I kind of like saved it from her. It still has some transmission issue. So the thing I'm going to do with this is probably swap to a 5-speed and then restore it. So there's some rust on the rocker panel, as you can see right here. A lot of rust, actually. So all of this is getting replaced. I'm going to do all the welding and stuff like that. And I do have a spare fender flare from Carbon Miata. I might put that on. Overall, other than that, the engine runs good. It's just the transmission issue, which is not a big deal. I could easily swap into a 5-speed because it has a automatic transmission right now. So people broke in the car and they broke this glass right here. So I just put a new glass on here. You can see all the tape residue from being sealed up. Door panel, I took that apart because the window motor was stuck, and I add the window. Apparently she has the window motor, it was just not installed correctly, and I installed it correctly and now it works good. It was an aftermarket window motor, so it's excuse me, so it's not that strong, but all the interior is intact. Soft top look pretty decent, but will probably get replaced sometime soon. I do like this door card, but it's just a little flimsy. It's beat up, but I do like the dragon design. It's pretty cool. So yeah, this is the curse car. I went through a whole bunch of stuff. I'm gonna like fix the curse and make it usable. I might remove the exhaust. It's a little bit too loud for this car. Has some damage right here, which will be repaired too. And this fender is damaged too. Might get another fender for that, so I don't have to repair that fender. And yeah, but overall it's stock, and which is perfect. And I do want a white Miata, and I'm just happy that I was able to find this one. So now let's take a look at the new purchase I bought recently. So this is the new purchase. Is the $600 Miata from upstate New York. I mean, this time and age to buy a car for $600 is fairly rare, and this doesn't have any key lock, or well, the owner lost the key, as you remember from the previous video. So what I did was actually bought a new ignition key for it, and recently I removed an alarm system that was all bundled up in here, which caused more issue from starting up if you don't know what you're doing. But yeah, this is an old alarm system, and just got this removed real quick. And here's more wiring, and here is the glass sensor, if I remember correctly. And yeah, so this is the old ignition. It still works, it just don't have the key for it. Unfortunately, when this happened, you gotta replace all the door lock and key and stuff like that. So this door panel has to come out, the other door panel has to come out, and then the lock mechanism has to be replaced, as well as the trunk lock mechanism right here. So all this has to be replaced so I can use the new key. And for the engine wise, I'm not sure exactly what's wrong with it yet, but I think for today's video, we're just gonna try to get it started. So I'm not even sure if it'll start or not. So I can get the key in there, and then hopefully I could start the car. All right, so here's the new ignition key, new meaning used. I bought this from Japan out of all places because it was cheaper to get it shipped from Japan with all the door lock and the trunk lock mechanism for like $100 shipped from Japan, and that was crazy. And I was like, it was cheaper to buy from Japan than to get it here in the US from some of the eBay seller. But yeah, so I have all this stuff, so all this need to be replaced. And just need to be swapped in. And here it comes with the key. And that key should work with all the door lock as well. And we should be good. So for today, objective is just to get this on the car and then hopefully get the engine running. Okay, so the first issue I have to address is the radiator. So far the radiator has the transmission line is disconnected, and I'm not sure why it's disconnected, but I'm gonna have to check the fluid on the transmission, which is back here. Let's see if that's good. Yeah, there's fluid in there, which is good. And then I just have to connect the transmission hose and it should be good. Let me check the radiator for fluid. It's completely empty, so I gotta make sure I do not overheat the engine if the engine is good, and hopefully crank over and make sure the engine at least will spin and start. But other than that, I don't see anything that has been modified, so it looks completely stock, which is good. That means it's never been really touched, and I want it to be completely stock. So there's some extra bolt and wrench. There's some, I'm not sure what this is for. Some more bolts, screws. Whoever was working on the car, they were just leaving stuff all over the place. But the good thing that everything is here. Okay, I'm not sure what that is for. And it's missing a hose clamp. So there's a hose clamp for that. And ooh, I got some more tools. Look at that. I think that's it. Everything else looks stock. Looks like the window motor was replaced somewhere along the line. Yeah, but everything else looks stock. It looks like somebody changed the oil filter. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is actually change the ignition, make sure that's good so I can crank the engine. What I'm going to do is probably pull the fuse off of the injector so the engine won't start, so I can prime the fuel a little bit more to get the more fuel into the engine. Then go from there. Hopefully I could get spark and fuel, and hopefully it runs without any issue. If it is that case, that means it's a win-win. Have a pretty decent running car for fairly cheap. Then if it does start, I'm going to add more fluid into the radiator, make sure that's good, as well as connect that hose for the transmission, which is missing right now, so I got to figure that out. Another thing I noticed is that the previous owner changed this radiator, but they didn't do a good job on it. I just found out that the wiring is not even connected, so if I was to run this and without checking all this stuff, it would probably overheat and destroy the engine. So good thing I caught this in time. So I don't expect the AC to work, so I might run this in parallel to get 2 fans running to cool the engine even more. So I'll probably run it in parallel and then tap into the main harness for the fan, which is right here. This side would be for the AC side, and that's the fan controller for the AC side. But we'll see. I mean, if the AC works, I'll probably run the fan over there, but I doubt it that it'll work. So another thing that I'm going to do first is probably remove the radiator. It's just these 2 bolts, and then check to make sure everything is good, because there's no fluid in there at all. Okay, so the radiator's out, and what I noticed when removing that is that there was some kind of oil or like rust type orange looking fluid that came out of the old bottom hose of the radiator, which mean that water pump is probably damaged or got rust into the water pump somehow, and or that oil is mixed into the engine somewhere, or possibly the transmission fluid got into the cooling system somehow. I'm not sure yet, still doing some tests. As you can see, there's the new radiator. Even though it's new, you can't trust people installing it. You got to double check everything, make sure it's good. As you can see, none of the hose was connected, and there's no clamp on this thing at all. I don't know why, but I got to double check everything, make sure it's good, put new clamps, rewire this wiring. There's a pretty decent fan. It's a Miata fan, so the fan strut is all nice. I don't know, I kind of like this fan. I might use it for a different car, but we'll see. Maybe I'll just run it here. That's not a big deal. But yeah, double check everything. Even though you assume that the previous owners did a good job, you just got to double check everything, make sure everything's good. Now we have all this access, and we can double check everything again, make sure it works. Okay, now the ignition is already in. It kind of did that off camera. So the new key is in the car now. So now I should be able to crank the car. But before we do that and see if the engine start at all or spin at all, what I'm going to do is actually just going to remove the fuse out of here. So this is the fuse for the fuel injector, 30 amp fuse, which is the bottom left side right here. I'm going to remove that. I don't want the engine to start. I just want to make sure it cranks over. If it's crank over, that means it's good. And another thing I want to check is to make sure the oil is in the car. And yeah, we got oil in there, so that's good. So we got oil, and look at that, good working dipstick. Obviously there's some oil leakage right here and there, but not a big deal. Most importantly is to get the engine to crank, and then if it starts, that's even better. But now what I got to do is add a battery. It doesn't have a battery, so I got to add a battery. It is a common thing for these NB. Rain will get into this part of the seal and drip into here and cause a little bit of rust in that area where the battery compartment is. So that's a common thing. To make sure you guys kind of change your weather seal on your trunk if you don't want that to happen. So that's a common thing for these NBs. There's a jack right here, and this is the battery tray that goes right there, and battery tie down, and the factory jack. And this is the spare vent hole for the battery, and apparently it has some extra tools in here as well. Okay, let's pop a new battery and see if it cranks. I always keep a battery on trickle charge, ready to go when I need it. So I'm going to use this one. Okay. This doesn't need to be bolted down. It just need to check to make sure the engine cranks. So I'm just going to temporarily just leave it here. Connect the positive and the negative. No need to tie it down. Let's see if it cranks at all. Okay, so the battery's in. that sound is a good signal. I mean that we got electricity. And we got odometer is 100,000 miles on here. And it's in park. Hopefully the engine cranks. So the engine crank, and it does sound healthy. I'm going to crank it a couple more times, get more fluid into the system, and then I'll put the fuel injector back in there and see if it starts. Okay, perfect. Now the oil is circulating a lot more because it's been sitting for a while. And I think what I'm going to do now is start putting the injector fuse in. And we're going to let the gas prime a little bit more. Oh, I could hear the electronic going on when I put the injector in. I mean the fuse in. I can hear the idle air control is running. That's humming a little bit. So that's a good sign. Everything is good. Let me pop this in there so I could get some airflow going here. Whoop, wrong side. Okay. All right. So that hopefully should start. As you can see, it's 100,000 miles. All right, let's start it. Okay, I'm just gonna let, oh, I can hear the fuel pump priming. So that's a good sign that the fuel pump is working. Now let's kind of crank it again. Woof! There you go. Perfectly running car, man. Oh my gosh. So I can't leave it run for too long because the radiator, what's that sound? Sounds like a fuel pump. Yeah, so can't leave the engine running too long because there's no radiator in there, but everything looks good. Everything sounds good. No check engine light. Yeah, that thing is running good, man. Oh my God, it's running so good. Yeah, idle's good, rev good. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this car actually started. All right, so all I really need is a radiator. I'm not sure if the transmission is working, but really all it needs is a radiator. Oh, fluids coming out of there, meaning like the transmission is good. It's just got to put the radiator back in there and check the fluid again. But that's a good sign. Everything is good. So now I'm going to address all the issue with the radiator. So I got to make sure all this is tightened, all the hose clamp is on and all that good stuff right here. And make sure the wiring for the fan is in parallel. And that way I could connect this. Might have to splice into the factory wiring because I don't have the connector for this. But yeah, after this is all done, I'll put it back in the car and hopefully the transmission work and I could actually move the car. Okay, so now I added the radiator and I removed the Mishimoto fan and actually used the stock fan. So this is the AC fan. I'm going to tap this line into this wire which control the factory fan and probably pull another fan off of my other car, which is right here. Yeah, we're going to pull a fan off of here. So basically this car has just been sitting. Yeah, this fan should be working. Just got to pull it off of here real quick and add it to the other car. This car is fairly clean. I wish I used this car more, but has some wiring issue that I need to address sometime this winter. But in the meantime, you know what? I'm just going to pull all this out and pull the fan out, which is right here. And I just noticed that the wiring should be the same, hopefully. If not, I have to tap into that wire. So I'm going to grab my tool real quick. Okay, upon inspecting the fan, I noticed that the harness right here was a little shaky. I don't know if it's just shaky or it's actually bad. Hopefully it's just shaky and the fan still spin. That'd be great. But I'm just gonna give it a shot and kind of monitor that to make sure it's okay. Okay, so now the wiring harness is complete. I just made a harness for this. So this connects into the fan, and if that fails, this fan fail, this backup AC fan will be kicked in and cool the engine as well, so it won't overheat the engine. And I made a little connector for it as well, so it's easy to remove it. Now we're ready to put the intake in and install the fluid and then get everything up to temperature and maybe drive it around and see if the transmission works on it. Okay, so now the goal is to bleed the system. The easiest way is to use this big funnel right here that kind of quick connect into the radiator and keep the fluid high enough to where all the engine will burp and get all the air out of the system. So I'm going to start the engine now and monitor that. And right away I can see air bubble is burping the system right now. And this used to be a green fluid and it's kind of orange a little bit, so it's probably mixing with the old fluid. I'm not sure what color fluid they used in the past, but hopefully there's no more bubble. So we're gonna keep it running until it's all warmed up. I put the AC, well, the heater on full blast so I could get all the coolant into the heater core, which is going into here. And so far so good, there's no leak. The fan hasn't kicked in yet. And there's still more air bubble coming out. So far so good, the transmission fluid seems to be fine. And there's no leak on the hose right here. So yeah, the car is running perfect. I mean, like the engine is just, it sounds so good. It just purrs. It just like idles so good. So yeah, hopefully, so thankful that the engine is good and the car is good. So we're gonna just let it bleed a little bit more, get all the fluid out of there. As you can see, it's turning a little brown. So I don't know the whole issue yet, but we're gonna monitor that and keep an eye on it. While we're waiting for this, let's check out this car right here. So this is a special edition British Racing Green NB2, which is, I think it's a 02 year. Yeah, so it's a special edition British Racing Green. So with the special edition, you got right here the badge for the special edition. Then, you know, you got your chrome wheels. At the time, is very popular with chrome wheels. That's the 5-spoke one, which is very nice. It has more bling bling parts right here. And the car is in great shape. Man, I have to say that, like the interior and everything, look at that. It's so clean. The inside is so clean. So this came in for a roll bar, so I'm gonna pop a roll bar in there for him real quick. And that is the Hard Dog M2 Sport without the cross section. So it's very nice. The paint need to be addressed a little bit, but other than that, this car is very solid. Such a beautiful car. And here's the door lock key cylinder. I took it off the car already. And we're going to swap over the key lock cylinder, which is here and here. Unsure why this one is white and this one is kind of like pinkish. So it might be for driver side, passenger side. That's what I'm assuming. So this one, since it's the same color, I'm going to try to match that up with that one and then do the same on the other side. If you are doing this, there's a clip right here that holds it in place, kind of like that. But you have to kind of pry this plastic piece right here to the side so you could remove that clip. So just be careful not to break this, and insert the new key lock cylinder, and this thing kind of goes to the side like that and then around the key lock cylinder and locks it in place. And then I'll screw this plastic piece back and lock it up. This is dark and nasty. Might have to drain it a couple more times, get all that nasty fluid out, bleed up the system a few more times. But in the meantime, it's looking good and it's running good. All right, so the fan is kicking in. So both fans is now working, running in parallel to each other. That means that harness right here is working. I was concerned that it didn't work, but thankfully it works. So the car is pretty much complete. I'll probably run through it a little bit more and do all the regular maintenance on it. Okay, we're gonna go for a little drive. Not too far, but just to kind of see if the transmission is working correctly. If not, we gotta address that. Yeah, starts up very good. Engine is already up to temperature. It's automatic. I can hear it shift already. Yeah, there it goes, running good. Brakes feel good, but might need to be replaced sometime in the future. Yeah, transmission is shifting very good. No hesitation or anything. Yeah, the brake need to be replaced sometime soon. I can hear the grinding of the brake. Oh, the brake is so bad actually. Gonna have to fix that soon. Go up the speed real quick and see if it shifts better. Oh yeah, transmission shifts good. Okay, now I'm gonna turn around. All right, that is a success. But yeah, guys, so thank you for watching this video. We saved another Miata. This is a $600 Miata that was left in the field to be rotted. Saved it, and it's running good, driving good. I kind of make sure the engine transmission is good, so it is good. But yeah, so if you need help with your Miata, the shop is in the Brew Mall, so come out and check it out. See you soon.
ハイパースピードメディア